Hey, what's up guys, CotDog here. Now, I have made a couple different how-to videos or a couple tutorial-like videos for you guys with Rust. I've made a PvP tips and tricks without aim training. I've made a starter guide basically, and I've made, as of recently, a more broken down version of best gun in the game. And I figured today I'd be covering a kind of a subject that doesn't happen to a lot of players, but you know, so a lot of new players get to this time, and it's the late game. What should you do to be successful, as well as raiding tactics or just understanding some things that just players often do. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So every single time in Rust, you know, you get to a point where you've started to become successful. You've had better scrap grinds, you've had better Yoko runs, your materials are all over the place. But let me tell you about some mistakes that people do, including myself, that I've recently been starting to use a lot more often. When you gain these materials, like high qual, a lot of metal fragments, you know, a lot of extra stone, what do you do with it? Build your base even bigger. You want to make it more like a huge honeycomb, whatever you can do to make your base as unraidable as possible. Now, your base is probably going to get raided. Every base is going to get raided. However, delaying that is really helpful. Also, what's the point of having 10,000 sulfur in your tool cupboard if you can't use it? So just use it. Remember to keep your materials low. And yeah. Also, another mistake that you make, not upgrading to beds. A lot of people just stay with the sleeping bags, and yeah, they're really convenient for the fact that they're just on the floor. But make some room for them, because they really are handy in a scrape when you're being raided, or just want to respawn faster in case you just died or something. Also, not being friendly to bigger groups or neighbors is also a huge mistake. Now, this is kind of like an early on thing too. You want to make friends with a group that you know lives near you, so that, you know, in the case of you being raided, they might counter raid, or if they have blueprints that you don't have, you can trade with them, or vice versa. And it's really just a gain for both parties. So next we're going to be talking about raiding. Now I want to talk about the three kind of tools we use here: the satchels, the rockets, and the C4 rocket shot or rocket launcher. I'm not going to be covering satchels here because satchels are kind of like a mid-tier thing. It's not really something that I would say is what you would recommend to be raiding, because they sometimes don't explode, they sometimes explode too quickly, they never tell you how constant it's going to blow up, so it's just unreliable. I don't like using them unless I need to. It's kind of more of an economy kind of raid, which I'll talk about later. I'm going to be covering C4 and rockets. When to use each. Now, rockets I like to use the most on square bases, you know, the ones, the 3x3s, the 2x2s, just square up and down. I like to use those a lot because you can utilize up to 4 different walls at the same time with the rockets, and aiming for just a corner of where to break in is really handy. You also have C4, which I like to recommend if you're raiding a really high tier area, and although rockets are kind of more of the bang for your buck when it comes to breaking down 4 walls at once, it still takes 16 rockets to take down 1 armored wall, so, or in that case 4 armored walls. But C4, you know, can break down these armored doors in 4. It depends on what you're attacking for, what you're looking for, but I usually recommend rockets in all raids. Now, I want to also say that everyone and their mother forgets about ladders when raiding. I know it's a very simple thing, but ladders are like so useful to use to get up into a base or get out of a base in case you need to. Now, I want to also talk about forward operating bases, or an FOB. Those are actually quite useful, especially when you're raiding a bigger base and you have a party, especially, where you can respawn quickly at a place really close to the raid and grab some gear and then run back in. Now, these aren't crazy. They just have some extra gear, some beds, a workbench, maybe to craft ladders or more ammo or something. Nothing too extreme. And then I want to talk about how just bring a shotgun. Not always useful in raids, but quite often it is a make or break win scenario for people holding angles on their base, because they're also going to be using shotguns, and it's usually just the best close quarter gun, which is kind of obvious. And you also want something to break tool cupboards or boxes, because most people will have keypads on their boxes, and it's really handy to have something like a pickaxe or something to break the sleeping bags, the beds, and the boxes, as well as the TCs. And always have a little bit of explosive ammo or instant ammo for do that exact same thing, and remember to have a silencer with your gun in order to be quiet about it. You also want to be watching your back, obviously. Now, solo players, sorry, it's not happening for you. You just have to hope and pray that no one is nearby or ready to counter raid you. For multiple players, I'd say 3 is probably the most healthy amount. 3 or 4 is the most healthy amount of players for raiding comfortably, because 2 is still not enough, because you can kind of get overtaken pretty easily, especially if you get one guy gets picked right away. But I'd say 3 players is usually really good, because you can have a guy outside the base and 2 guys raiding inside. Or if you have 4, you can have someone sit in the forward operating base and 1 guy in the compound and 2 inside the base. So you just want to watch your back. Now we're going to be talking about the values for each wall, because a lot of people don't really know this, so they Google it. I'm just going to show it to you in 20 seconds flat. So first off, stone walls, just think of the magic number 4 for stone walls for rockets. 4 rockets takes out stone wall, or up to 4 stone walls, or foundations, or anything. Anything stone, 4. C4 it's 2, satchels is 10. Now the sheet metal, rockets is 8, C4 is 4. You see where I'm getting? And then 16 rockets for armored and 8 for C4. Don't even raid wood, just let them be. I mean, come on. Seriously, use a flamethrower or something. Don't, please do not use C4 on my little wooden shack. But yeah, also, just a quick reminder as well, sheet metal doors, 4 satchels, 1 C4, 2 rockets. And for armored doors, it is 4 rockets or 2 C4. Now, I just want to give out a couple pointers here for using these tools. It is using the right tool for the job. So if you're going strictly through doors, I would recommend C4. Rockets are definitely more of a area kind of thing. If you want to hit multiple walls at once, that's the way to do it because of their amount of explosiveness. However, I also want to say that for raiding, a good mentality to have, just period, is what is the easiest way to get into this base? Is it from above? Is it from through the center, through the side? What is the main way to get in? Now, a lot of it's just reading the foundation or seeing how they built their base. If they have a sniper tower, maybe it's best to go through there. It really depends base by base. But overall, I think rockets are probably the most utilized because they can kind of be flexible. But again, if you think the cheapest way is to go straight through the middle, then by all means just go through the middle with C4. And finally, it's kind of a little icing on top because congratulations, you made it to late game. You have the resources to go and destroy anyone's base. Who you picking? Well, there's 2 different types of raids. There's an economy raid and there's a territory raid. They literally mean the exact same things. Economy raid is exactly what it sounds like. It's a raid where you literally just want to gain resources out of it. Now, most raids you will, but the amount that you're going to expend to get into the base sometimes outweighs the overall gain, and you may actually lose a little bit, but it really doesn't matter. Don't stress yourself with that. But if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of resources or someone who doesn't want to be wasteful, look at these kind of smaller bases that you're kind of comfortable with, that look like they can be beaten in just like 2 or 3 doors, or maybe just 1 set of honeycomb. Nothing too crazy. Territory raids, on the other hand, are straight up because you live in my area and I don't want you there. Now you can tell them that they can move. Usually that doesn't happen. Rust players are really prideful and will not move. But territory raids are, you just have to write off right away. I'm going to be losing resources here. I'm going to be spending a lot here just to break your base. And that is probably the most demoralizing thing for a Rust player that's defending their base, is that they don't give a fuck about you. They just want to raid your base. So anyways, guys, those are the 2 raid types: the economy for cheap and territory for the value of territory. I don't know, man. Anyways, guys, wanted to wrap things up for the new players that are starting to become successful, starting to get the rhythm of the game and make it to the late game. Anyways, guys, I see you guys all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day and have a good one. Peace.